Hi guys, Tommy Day here. Super excited to have everyone. And I want to talk to us about one of my favorite concepts in programming, and that is the concept of web scraping. Web scraping is simply the act of extracting structured information from unstructured data. So, for example, if you look at a web page as an analyst, very often you'd have to you need to get a particular name, you need to get a particular overview, you need to get a particular description, a particular tag somewhere. But the problem is you can't do copy and paste for absolutely everything. That is going to take so much work. So how do you go around it? One of the ways is web scraping, and web scraping is usually the means that you use when you don't have existing APIs that provide you information. So how do you go to a website and say I want to take your data when you don't have the APIs? The answer to that is web scraping. So what I'm going to be doing today, which is really exciting for me, is we're going to go to Y Combinator website, and we're going to look at the top companies for 2022. So we have the option of copy this company, copy the website, copy what they do, and then go paste in an Excel sheet somewhere, and then do the same all over and over and over and over and over again. But like there are so many companies here, I don't even know how many, right? It does not make sense to do that. So how are we going to do it with a little help from Python? That is what I'm doing today. So I've already written the script. I'm just going to walk you through the logic that I've written and explain step by step what everything is doing, so that you can absolutely understand how to write your own scripts. Okay, so right over here, one of the first things that I'm doing is this cell over here, right? And what this cell over here is doing is it is taking data, it is taking the scripts that I've written over here, and it is importing it into the file that I'm going to be used for extracting data from the Y Combinator website. And this is just for separation of concern, so I can know what does what and what doesn't do what. Okay, so let me comment the code here properly. We are importing data. We are importing scripts. Actually, we are importing scripts slash logic from from another file, which is called Tom's Python utilities. That's what the name of the file. That's the name of the file, and you can see that file over here. So what I'm doing is telling the computer to look at my OS in a sense, and then I want you to assemble how I get to a particular file. That's what all this is doing. And then I want you to take a look inside this particular folder called utils. You can see utils right over here. And then inside utils, I want you to open this file called Tom's Python utilities. So that's what I really want to import. So I want to get Tom's Python utilities, this guy over here. I want to get it into this file. Okay, so once I do that, I get the folder into this file, and then I import Tom's Python utilities. That's the file over here. And then I import Tomide Beautiful Soup utils. That is the class that I'm going to be using for most of the souping, the scraping that I'll be doing. Okay, so over here we are defining our target. We want to go to https ycombinator.com/top companies in 2022. Those are the companies over here. And then next up, we want to now call the class that I have imported, which is Tomide Beautiful Soup utils. And then inside it I want to call Tomide Beautiful Soup make soup. And then I'm setting the target to ycombinator.com, and I'm saying it is a static kind of scraping, so no JavaScript involved. No JavaScript is going to mess up our data. I know that the HTML content that I fetch from the URL is going to be exactly the same thing that I get. That is why I'm setting it to static over here. Okay, so let's look at Tomide Beautiful Soup 4. and understand what exactly it does. So this function over here, it takes in three parameters, right? It goes, what's the URL we want to fetch? Is it a static website? Do you need to scroll on that website? Okay, but for the purpose of this tutorial, let's just ignore everything else and focus on the static function, the static part of things. So I'm saying if the type that was supplied into this function is static, right, static over here, then I want you to use the request library provided by Python. I want you to fetch a particular web page, and that's the web page that we're passing in over here. That web page is target here, and that target over here is the URL that we're importing. Okay, so I want you to go to this URL, and then I want you to use beautiful soup to fetch me the data, the web page content, that's the HTML content, and then I want you to return that content, right? And pretty amazing, kind of. Okay, so let me show you exactly what that content looks like. When we go to our developer tools, right, and we look at elements, we inspect the elements, this is the HTML content. So that's what our Python script sees currently, and here's a simple way to experiment and validate that, right? So once we, let's say, define our target over here, our target is Y Combinator top companies, and then we say we want to fetch that particular URL. That's what it's running over here. And then okay, yes, so how do we validate it? And that is Y Combinator top. So once I run this, you should expect to see the HTML content that we fetched over here. The HTML content over here, that's what you're going to see. Exactly, right? We can inspect in a text editor just to make sure it's exactly the same. So we have the doc type, the HTML content in exactly the same format that we have over here, right? Okay, so we have the HTML content here. So what do we do next with the HTML content? So I have written another function that allows us to extract all the classes from it. And don't worry about all the functions over here. I'll provide them in a GitHub gist. So I've written a function here inside this class. It's a static method, and what it does is it extracts all the tags, all the elements in here. It extracts absolutely every one of them, and then it says if it has an attribute of class. That's the class attributes that most divs have, right? Most elements have attributes like top company row. If it has an attribute at all, then I want, and that attribute is a class, then I want you to take out the class, and I want you to append the first element in that class to this class list over here, and then I want you to return the class list. So essentially, when I run this function, what you should expect to see is things like top company row, and name, rank, company overview, and a lot of other classes, company list, mobile. And the reason why I'm doing that is so that it's easier to figure out all the classes that exist in our content at once, so we don't have to do a lot of searching and looking around when we want to extract each data point. Okay, so let's run the function, and that's Tomide beautiful soup utils get classes, and then I'm passing in the document, the soup we extracted here. I'm passing it in here into the static method, and I'm saying extract all the classes that exist and return those classes to me as an array. So let us run this function, and you can see we have an array of all the classes that exist. Okay, so in here I'm doing one extra thing, and I'm saying if the class is not already in class list, that is when you should append it. And the reason I'm doing that is so I can have a unique set, right? So I can have a unique list, so I don't have top company row multiple times, right? Because that's redundant. So I'm extracting all the unique classes and I'm printing them. Okay, so what do we actually need when we want to find our data points? So first off, we look at each company and we inspect, right? Let's inspect it, and then we find out that each company is actually inside a box, this box over here called top company row. So let's be fair, right? We want to import all our top company rows. That's the first thing we should do, right? And what I've done over here is I just need one example so I can really understand what the code is doing, like what the HTML content looks like. So let's say y combinator top dot find. Y combinator top is our soup. So I want you to find the very first element that is a table row that has the class of top company row. And we see everything here is a table row as a class of top company row, but I don't want to get all of them at once because I really need to work with just one variation of the data point. Okay, so find me one element that is a table row and has a class of top company row, and when I run this, it gives me the very first element, which is stripe. If we can validate this by going to the very top, and the very first content is stripe. Okay, so stripe has a top company row over here. It has the name in the table data, it has an image, it has a link, and a number of other interesting things, right? And then we can access those elements in here also and see them quite conveniently. So once we are able to identify that, oh, and another interesting thing we could do, which I didn't even think about before, since I wrote a function here that finds all the classes in a particular document, I think we could do y combinator one dot find dot get no sorry, we are going to do Tomide beautiful soup utils dot get classes y combinator, and we're going to do company classes is Tomide beautiful soup utils dot get classes y combinator. I hope this works. So let's see what's inside company classes. Print company classes. Okay, and then we can see we have status, we have headquarters, we have carriers, we have company logo, we have company websites, the rank, the company name, small batch name, company overview. Okay, so those are all the elements that we're going to have in a typical element for this particular web page. So every company has status, headquarters, carriers. So what we can do is we could do y combinator one. Okay, y combinator one dot find, right? And that's, we're looking through stripe for our y combinator one. We want to find any class that is headquarters. Class is equals to headquarters, and then we want to get the text content. Let's see, San Francisco, California, right? And that's what we have over here. Works perfectly. So now that we know that our one instance, our one company works perfectly, we no longer really need this, right? We can instead just do, okay, no, let me retrieve all those. Okay, oh, okay, it's over here. Yes, so we can instead just do, for each company, when we find all the elements that have a table row of class top company row, we want to append inside this list, this array that we've created, we want to append the name, and the name is the company, find an a tag of the class company name, and then get the text. And if we look at that over here, company name, if we inspect this closer, we'll see we have an a tag and a class of company name. right? And then we are getting the text, right? And then overview, same thing. Here's the overview. We are doing inspect, table data, class of company overview, economic infrastructure for the internet, which is the text. And then we add the URL, which is find an A tag with the class of company website, and then get the attribute over here. So finally we do for company and companies, just print out all the companies, just show me all the companies that I have. And when we run that, we get all of the individual items in JSON format. So that's a simple approach to web scraping content. I will post the link to the GitHub gist. Thank you for being here.